to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome in.
What do you got going on over there?
I just thought you might throw an It's Baseball Time in there, you know?
Oh,
Stop it.
I would rather die
Thank you, Mike.
than do that.
I knew you wouldn't do it, actually.
No. It's free agency time.
It pretty much is. Welcome into the Fantasy Footballers Tuesday, February 11th. Welcome into the show. Jason Moore, Mike Wright, Andy Holloway.
Baseball time. How dare you?
Yeah, I mean,
I've sold the It's Football Time to some other things in my life. Like, what was it Foreman? Was it Deonta Foreman?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
And then he had a great game, so it was awesome. So I'm not above it, but
right.
Baseball time.
No,
Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Kyle confirmed, it was Foreman. Oh, that was some good times with Deonta Foreman.
Welcome in, one and all. We have completed the 2024-25 season. It's over.
We
It's done.
did it.
Congratulations, Philadelphia.
Goodness gracious.
It was a drubbing.
Them behinds were slapped red.
yes, they were.
I'm sure you know the answer to this, Mike, but how many times did the Eagles defense blitz the
Oh my gosh.
Chiefs?
Is it zero?
Zero?
Yeah. I mean, that's
Zero.
That's the New York Giants path. Like if you can get there with four dudes,
Why use any more?
Oh, I'm just saying, like you are nearly unstoppable.
Yeah, Seth Walder tweeted out, according to ESPN research, there's been 6 times in Super Bowl history where a quarterback has not been blitzed for the whole game. All 6, the other team won, obviously. Because if you don't have to
yes.
The only reason you blitz is because you need to generate pressure. If you don't need to blitz to generate pressure, you're going to win.
Well, and this was how Patty Mahomes lost his other Super Bowl. This was the Tampa Bay recipe. If you remember, it was just a manhandling of the offensive line. The pressure, it builds, right? You just put a quarterback in a position, especially if you do it early in the game, to where they are now having to speed up the clock. Didn't get the kinds of plays he needed around him in this game. And Philadelphia, redemption. I mean, we were there 3 years ago. When it went the other direction late in the game, although you start to play the what ifs of these scenarios where it's like that one was a down to the wire
holding call,
one holding call on a Juju touchdown in a game where Jalen Hurts outplayed Mahomes. Super Bowl MVP Jalen Hurts.
There we go.
And here you are with the redemption story. So it was it wasn't a close game at all.
No, and the 22 points that the Chiefs got are, I mean, that's insulting. Because
that's incredible work by Kansas City. Because it was 40-6.
Yeah.
So I mean, your final score of 40-6 that's thoroughly embarrassing for the all history of time. In a few years, we'll forget some things about this game. 40-22. Oh, maybe it wasn't as bad as I remember.
Do they test? I have a couple thoughts. Do they test guys after the Super Bowl for anabolic steroids or performance-enhancing drugs? Because it certainly seemed like that defensive line was
juiced.
I mean, it was the other thought, the actual real thought I have is related to Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders, who just played the Eagles. And yes, the Eagles. They had a great end of – it was the opposite of this. The end of the score looked like a beatdown, but it really wasn't that way through the game. Jaden Daniels was able to get out. They just had offensive players keep fumbling the ball to the Eagles afterwards. But I don't know, man. It made me think there's a bright future. I mean, not that we didn't already think there was a bright future for Jaden Daniels, but how he dealt with that pressure and that defensive line of the Eagles that was so dominant. I mean, that's who should have been not to take anything away from Hurts, but if you could have given like the Super Bowl MVP was the D-line of the Eagles. They completely owned that game.
Yeah, and it's a wild season for Philadelphia that had some tumult early on. Nick Sirianni was getting criticized. He was yelling at his own fans.
He's bought himself a year.
A.J. Brown seemed as
in
Philadelphia. A.J. Brown seemed as unhappy as anybody could be throughout the season. Now he's a Super Bowl champ. Had the big play from Devontae Smith.
They kept Saquon away from getting the record. None of it matters now.
Well, yeah, you're like, you better win the Super Bowl if
And
you don't
they
let
did.
him, and it was worth it. And I believe because of his playoff performance, he now has the most yards in history in one season when you include the playoffs, past Terrell Davis. So congratulations, Saquon. Congratulations, Philadelphia. Congratulations, the world. No more Chiefs on top. And
they'll be back.
And look, I did it on Twitter, but I'm going to give my flowers to Jalen Hurts, who, you know, for whatever reason, and I was part of the problem, but I've always doubted Jalen Hurts and his ability to enter the elite category. And I'm not saying this Super Bowl win where you just gave the MVP to the D-line and Saquon's contributions this year means that Jalen Hurts is the elite of the elite, but this is a Super Bowl winning, multi-Super Bowl quarterback who has had his best moments in the most important games, which frankly means a lot more than having all the prolific numbers in the regular season. Everyone can go say that, you know, whatever, Joe Burrow's got amazing regular season numbers. You win games like this is your legacy. I mean, he deserves so much credit for his consistency in the locker room and on the field and when it mattered the most. And I've never given him enough credit. I've always looked for peripheral reasons why it was others that lifted up Jalen Hurts. And I think it's worth a moment to say this team does not get here. This team does not win without him at quarterback.
Sure. And you combine in Saquon Barkley had a long run of 10 yards. He was 25 for 57. So like this wasn't I know he's taking the attention. They got to try and stop him. Yes, that's true, but like Barkley's not beating him up and then Jalen Hurts gets to capitalize on that. Like there was no running going on from the running backs,
but
Jalen Hurts was.
Well, but that's the
Patrick
thing.
Mahomes threw for more yards than Jalen Hurts.
Oh, stop it. That's because of one bomb touchdown that they had to air out to.
I mean, shout out to Andy's DraftKings.
Oh my gosh.
Which was dead. It was just, that thing was, we had the, Jason and I, we were 5 feet. That casket was lowering thing down, and then you had the Mahomes worthy stack.
I won by like a million points.
Scores a bajillion points.
That was great.
Of garbage.
I will say this, that play, which was forced upon them, right? They're down by 4 or 5 scores, and they've got to just – and there's minutes left, so it's basically snap the ball, and no matter where you are on the field, I've got to get a touchdown this play.
Jameis Winston style.
And it came – you know, it was an awesome throw, awesome catch.
Yeah.
But when that play happened, I was like, you could do this you could do this all the time.
I was messaging.
He's so fast. He's the fastest man in the NFL.
I was messaging you guys of like, please let this be the thing that we're like, Mahomes goes, oh yeah. I remember when I threw for 5,000 yards and 50 bajillion touchdowns. That's who I am in my heart. It's time to let it rip.
Yeah.
And next year we get enough of this dumb. We win by 3 points, bull crap. You score 2 touchdowns and win. Unleash the fury. Give it to us.
This is why I wondered what the implications will be for Rashee Rice, because the breakout for Xavier Worthy, end of season, on through the playoffs, proved to be a very special talent. And, you know, he was the only player that put up prolific numbers yesterday.
By the end, because I think it was like
8 for 157 and 2.
But going into the fourth quarter, I think he had just a handful of yards.
So that'll be interesting. This weekend also meant that we announced the UDK pre-order, so the Ultimate Draft Kit. You can go and pre-order it at the lowest possible price at ultimatedraftkit.com. If you order before March 1st, which I recommend you do if you're a user of the Ultimate Draft Kit or if you want to win your league, you have a chance to win a listener league spot to come and play with us if you order by March 1st. Like I said, it's the lowest price, and if you pick up the UDK Plus or the Ultimate Foot Clan subscription, you get access to the Dynasty Pass right now. A lot of you have asked what's in the Dynasty Pass. That's all of our rookie rankings, startup rankings, the production profiles.
Yeah, which if you're unfamiliar, production profiles, we are comparing a player's market share of their team's offense. So like a running back, you know, they They were this % of the team's carries, this % of their rushing yards, receiving yards, all of those things. And because you're using that as a tool to compare to guys who are successful in the league right now, we can look back. What did they do in college? What was their market share? Like, what are good indicators of
good benchmarks?
Are you like, oh, someone might be a good pro because, and you go with market share because there are some, wacky college offenses. I think they like call them Mickey Mouse offense or something, where these teams just put up incredible overall totals, but it doesn't work in the NFL. So maybe their market, you're like, oh, he's got a bunch of yards. Yeah, but he's actually only 20% of the receiving yards, which is not that great. He wasn't dominating the offense. So that's a huge part of my process of if someone stands out there in green, they should be on your radar.
And if you already have it or if you don't have it and you want it, the team opportunity pages, check that out. If that's something you haven't looked at before, the team puts in a ton of work on that. All 32 teams. We show like what the opportunity is, what their
for
upcoming
rookies to land.
For rookies to land. What kind of draft capital do they have? Free agencies, coming in and out. It's a real good lay of the land tool to get you ready for the season.
Yeah, on our initial pass at the rookie rankings, dynasty trade targets, dynasty life cycles, free agent tracker, everything is in the dynasty pass, and there's 3 separate releases of it that you get: pre-combine, post-combine, post-NFL draft.
Our number 1 rookie right now, it might shock you. It won't shock you. But I was just saying it might.
Yeah, that would be
that's
you're gonna spoil that one.
Yeah, it's Ashton Genty. That guy. Oh man.
So ultimatedraftkit.com to check that out and be a part of the giveaway. We're really excited. And thank you to everybody that supports the show by picking up that product, who has enjoyed the show this year. We are a year-round podcast, so we're not going anywhere. We got 2 shows a week, and then the Foot Clan extra episode as well if you're a member over there. So you can follow the show on socials over on X at the FF Ballers. You can go to Instagram.com/fantasyfootballers and the Discord community, free to join, ballersdiscord.com. Become a part of the greatest community on planet Earth. We talked a little bit about the Super Bowl. We got other news to talk about.
News and notes from around the league.
Jason, big surprise for you. Jay Glazer reporting Aaron Rodgers, the Jets are moving on.
Yeah, when I saw that report, I didn't see it was from Jay Glazer. I just saw it just said sources say, and I'm like, you don't need a source. Like, obviously they were not going to, like, the source is your brain. Just you watch the team, watch the Aaron Rodgers, and that was not a long-term situation there.
So you'll be on retirement watch for Aaron Rodgers, or maybe it's Cleveland Browns watch or something of that nature.
Yeah, or Raiders.
Devontae,
or maybe injury to preseason quarterback. What if he's like not there, and then it's like we could go get Aaron Rodgers.
We need a guy. Yeah. Devontae Adams, ESPN reporting that he'd be open to signing with teams in California. The Rams, Chargers, and 49ers. That's where he went to school. That's where he'd love to be. If the Jets release him, which we do not know if they will.
It sounds like that's going to happen.
Adam Schefter reporting the 49ers have granted Deebo Samuel permission to find a trade partner. He's 29 years old. He's in the final year of his deal.
But they did not find a
trade
partner.
it's a
not at that money.
Big cap hit, $15.8 million.
Yeah,
$31 million dead if they were to cut him. So it's a trade or stay.
It's really it's unfortunate watching our superstars age. But it's hard to watch what Deebo Samuel did last year, and I guess if you're a different team, watch his footage and go, yep, that we need to get him on this roster. And with that type of a cap hit, it seems like a big ask.
Deebo's superpowers, yards after the catch, breaking tackles, and unstoppable to get to the ground. And if you look at his yards after catch by reception per year, 12.2, 10.8, 9.6, 8.7, 8.2. It's like he's getting older.
Yeah.
They need to, if you use the thing you did with Rodgers, your eyeballs, you can tell what to do there. The Jaguars have decided to stifle our optimism by hiring Shane Waldron, formerly of the Bears, as their now passing game coordinator.
I love to see this.
We have a coaching changes episode.
Why do you love this?
In 2 weeks.
Well,
for the chaos?
Yeah, a little bit for the chaos. Well, the thing is Liam Cohen, Duval.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, we know him.
I officially
Duval.
Thank you. officially came on record. Like I said that I'm rooting for him, that I want him to be good, and then I realized I was not being honest.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
I was not, because he's so goobery. I'm like, I kind of.
You gotta let that hate out your heart.
I need that to fail. I need that to fail. And so this is the best path towards that. I mean, you're telling me you went and got Shane Waldron, who is not good. So.
Well, he is rather famous for deleting players.
Is this Waldron's third team in 3 years?
Yeah, it was the Seahawks, and then last year the Bears.
Yeah, so I mean that's good, right?
Third time's the try, Mike.
Well, I mean, look, I think JSN was happy to see him go. Became a real player after that.
Yeah.
NFL Network reporting that there is a standoff underway between the Falcons and Kirk Cousins.
Oh man, Cousins watch,
because he is under contract for 3 more years and has a base salary guarantee.
You dummies!
It's not a it's not a standoff.
There's
it's
one
really
man
not.
with a gun.
Yeah,
there's no one else.
Kirk Cousins got a bazooka on his shoulder, and he's just like, "What you guys want to do?" I mean, that's it. This is a one-sided affair. He's got a contract, and he's like, "No, I'm not going to do anything but like."
I mean, what do you?
Let's write it out. That's
what are
fine.
you supposed to do? I mean, what do you blame Kirk Cousins for any of this?
No.
Now
he's been a great teammate.
Here's the other side of that coin, though. The standoff, if you want to find it, is because Kirk Cousins doesn't want to be a backup. So if you don't want to be a backup and you want to give some money back or do whatever to facilitate that, then you can do it. That's your choice. Otherwise, you can collect a check, put on a headset, and kick up your feet.
He's not going to be the starter for the Falcons, barring an injury.
No.
Obviously, that has already the change has happened. They've moved on. Their franchise is in the hands of Michael Penix. So that means the standoff is really he needs a trade. He needs another team that is going to take on the contract or whatever. And at that point, he would need to probably adjust something for the incoming team.
I'd rather have Kirk Cousins than Aaron Rodgers, but I wouldn't want to pay Kirk this amount of money if I was desperate. The NFL Network's Tom Pelissero also reporting that J.J. McCarthy will be ready to roll for team activities. And in May, there was a separate comment from Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell, coach of the year, Kevin O'Connell, saying Sam Darnold, quote, has earned the right to be a free agent.
Kevin,
when asked about the possibility of re-signing him, I mean,
Kevin, don't say these things.
I believe that Sam Darnold will get a contract from the Raiders or somebody. I think he will get paid to go be a starter somewhere else.
I think Darnold is a starter next year somewhere.
I just don't think it's going to be in Minnesota. I think that is over with. And I think it would have been quite different had the playoffs gone a little bit differently.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that. The quote of earn the right to be a free agent is that's
hilarious.
It's number one, it's hilarious. Number two, pump the brakes. You don't know what your team is going to do. You might end up franchising Sam Darnold.
Oh man.
And
like that's stepping on that right.
I'm saying if you're like, hey, you earned the right. But we're not going to give it to you.
Oh, my gosh, they can't franchise him now. They can't.
That's all I meant from there.
You can't say that.
But this report is also
psych.
It's like you've earned the right to be free. You open the prison door, and as he starts to walk towards the door, you slam it.
I mean, with
money.
Slam it shut with $20+ million. But the report on J.J. McCarthy, in case you had forgotten, he had the meniscus surgery, and then he had to have a follow-up procedure shortly after, which is it's never great when you have to re-surgery a surgery, and
as they say,
so
as they call it,
eloquent.
So if he's ready by May, that's a positive direction.
I guess the only other thing I'd want to get your thoughts on the MVP was announced. It was Josh Allen. It was as close as it's been since I think 2006, narrowly defeating Lamar Jackson.
I still don't have a vote, which is ridiculous. But
who would you have voted for?
I would have voted for Josh Allen.
Now, what are the rules about betting on futures?
If you have a vote. I mean, look,
I'm guessing that's frowned upon.
But it can't be illegal. It's not like you are the only one.
Kyle, look into this.
I do wonder that though, like the Gatorade color. Like there are dudes that know exactly what color Gatorade. There's people that put the Gatorade in the bucket.
I think that those.
I love the idea that it was kept secret.
Right.
There's
I
just
think
a powder.
those bets are like the real frivolous. I think those are capped.
Yeah,
They
like
are
$50.
capped, yeah.
But like betting on MVP and stuff is like you can put big money on it if you want to.
Yeah, but you're just 1/100th of the vote.
Sure, but that's a lot more than the layman's have.
Would
out
you?
there.
I think I would have voted for Josh Allen. It was a very close.
My slip said I would have voted for Lamar Jackson.
Well, look, here's the hardest thing is we've had this discussion. I don't remember if it was on this show or another one. When I was talking about how Mahomes and Brady, two of the best players in the NFL ever, have a different athleticism than other metrics, right? Like they're not the fastest. They have dad bods. They didn't, there's something.
Did you see Brady's?
Not anymore. Brady's.
Brady's
got. I mean, he just looks like a supermodel now.
But he was a lumbering oaf as a quarterback.
But did you see? I think it was on.
It was on Colin Cowherd. I saw
Cowherd.
his-
It was just. I mean, it's an interesting clip. Nothing you didn't know for sure, but just Tom Brady really expressing, like, and him being
what his superpower
admitting
was.
is, I wasn't more athletic than everybody.
Nope.
But I studied the tape. I knew what the defense was going to do just by being lined up. And you're like, oh yeah, you won that much.
Well,
that
and
makes sense.
The point I was getting at was just that, like, you have different definitions of athleticism. That's what we were debating.
Oh yes,
is
yes.
we were debating what makes the best athlete and what
Right.
sport would be the best athlete. And, some might say soccer because you got to cover so much ground and run around. That was kind of one of my defaults. And you said basketball.
Yeah, because it's basketball.
And so we were debating what makes an athlete. And I think there's obviously a subjective debate about what makes an MVP. Like,
Sure.
if you want to tell me that it's always going to come down to the stats, then all of a sudden you get into this unique universe where it's like, okay, we're on the goal line, so now we got to give Josh Allen the tush push on this play instead of the play we want to call to try to manipulate the stats to make him look like the MVP. Like they're close, you got to look at other things to me. And for me, it's the supporting cast.
Yes.
To me, it's not having
Derrick Henry
and having been the higher seed, right? Like you had a better record, a higher seed. You lost Stephon Diggs. You did more with less.
Yeah.
But it's a razor thin, like any year, this is completely worthy of Lamar. And I don't know if Lamar hadn't won before, if the vote's different. Like those things happen too.
Those definitely factor in. And I think they should. I think they really should. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying Josh Allen doesn't have one. Lamar has two. So you know what? At this point, I think Josh Allen should finish his career with an MVP. I'm gonna as a tiebreaker. It's not like that's the only thing. There are a handful. There's the stats, but they both had great stats. There's the wins. You got to be on a winning franchise. You can't not make the playoffs and win MVP. They both had that. Then there's the how valuable to their team. Take those players off of the team. What's left? The Ravens had a better defense. They had Derrick Henry, who was an offensive player of the year candidate in his own right.
But is Derrick Henry?
Oh, sure.
Derrick Henry, if you take Lamar off of the team.
But I think that was the primary difference for me.
It's very close. I mean, Michael Jordan won 5 MVPs in 15 years.
He should have, and you're saying
probably
he should have
won
had
about
12 or 13?
Yeah,
or
12,
15?
12, 13. You can take the Wizards years out.
Oh, that's fair. Those count to the 15.
But yeah, Mike, your slip said Lamar. Would you have voted Lamar?
I honestly don't care.
Okay, all right.
No, I only say that because this year more than any other year I can remember, the people on Twitter so mad.
I don't know why.
This is my
take.
take. Josh Allen is the MVP. If you think it's Lamar, you're a big fat stupid idiot. And it's like, whoa, man, it's the MVP. It's not a big. Let's just pump the brakes on it a little bit.
Well, Lamar was the All-Pro.
Yeah,
and Josh Allen wasn't. So I mean, it's a razor's edge there.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take
fine.
a break. We'll get into some mailbag. Before the break, Jason, I feel like you might have wanted to say something else about the MVP discussion.
I did. In fact,
Saquon?
No, it was not. It was still going back to the Josh Allen v. Lamar Jackson. All the debate of who would you vote for, why, this year, 2020, whatever. Throw it all in the garbage. You're a general manager. Those are the two human beings you get to start your franchise with, the age they are, the skills they have right now.
Now I got to check agents.
Genuinely.
Yeah. Lamar is...
Who are you? Who's your instinct? Who would you grab?
They're the same age.
Are they?
Oh, perfect.
Who would you grab to run the team?
which player would you bring in-house?
I think Lamar. I think Lamar.
Such a hard question.
I think Lamar.
I think I'd go Lamar too.
My first instinct was Josh Allen. However, I believe Lamar's playing style will last longer. Even though he runs just as much, he doesn't take the punishment that Josh Allen does.
I would completely disagree with that.
Really?
Yeah, because big quarterbacks don't get hurt ever, even later.
No, they don't get hurt, but they break down. Like Cam Newton just goes.
But you're taking Lamar from an 800, 900-yard rusher to a pocket passer later in his career, whereas his superpower is worth 800, 900 yards. Josh Allen's was not worth that many.
Right, he's 600 yards.
Is that where he was?
Yeah, he's
usually
530.
I think
530 this year, 524 the past year.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. In that regard, I'm thinking like one's going to translate longer. So I would think Josh Allen maybe ends up. I mean, who's a better passer?
I know that was the follow-up question.
Yeah. I'm not sure that I know the answer to that.
I think it's Josh Allen simply because they're both top-notch, but one of them has a super-powered arm that can do things that, like Lamar can bomb it out, but Lamar can't laser beam. He can't see someone open. No one can.
But Lamar, I think as time goes on, even if you're like, oh, he's more of a pocket passer, he can still move around the pocket and still escape. Even if he's not running for 900 yards, he'll still have enough speed to create bigger windows.
This was Lamar's first 4,000-yard passing season. Did Josh Allen have a 5,000?
Yeah, I believe so. Josh Allen's always
so you can't really. It's hard to debate.
Josh Allen has not been anywhere close
to 5,000.
40. If you call 4,500 yards close,
no, I wouldn't.
I would not either. That's
rounding would say.
It is
by rule.
It is 45.
I mean, Lamar
44,
Jackson
so you do round that up.
Lamar just went 41-4. 41-4
with his interceptions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the season for Josh Allen?
28-6.
I mean,
yeah, it is.
Could I have them both on my team?
Honestly, I think that the real answer is why just give it to both of them.
The MVP?
I know, we've
done this before, right?
I make such an argument of if you say most or best, it is only one. But in this instance, where it's like it's so
Peyton
close.
Manning and Steve McNair in 2003.
Yeah, like I'm going to call up my other writers and be like, let's make sure that this thing is tied because they both
collusion.
Yeah, yes, exactly, because they both deserve it.
How about one of those old school Pro Bowl style throwing contests between the two of them?
Ooh, I think
then
wins
Josh
that.
Allen's got that.
All right, we're in the mailbag, right? Did I hit that drop already?
We have not.
Oh, okay. Here you go, Mike.
Mailbag.
All right, we're going to answer some questions here on the show, starting with a voicemail. If you have a question and you would like to submit it, you can go to the website, thefantasyfootballers.com, click the Submit a Question button, or dial our voicemail hotline, 302-464-TFFB. Here we go.
Hey, Ballers. This is Sean from San Diego. I have a theoretical question, and I was wondering if you think that pass interference yards should count for receivers and quarterbacks. Love the show. Thanks.
No way.
Should pass hold on. So the question is, should pass interference count for fantasy points? This has been
he actually said for receivers and quarterbacks.
Yes, yeah.
So
should we get awarded points for that? We have had.
I think those are two separate questions.
We've had many spirited debates.
Oh yeah, around the office,
in the footballers' headquarters about should this and.
It's the stupidest.
I don't think we've
thing.
Have we really debated this on air before?
If we have, it's been a while.
Just barely, but this is a common. Like it's usually a fight between Jeremy and Andy because Andy thinks it's the stupidest thing ever. Jeremy thinks it 100% should be there. I'm on the side that I think
you want to be persuaded?
I want a point per pass interference. That's it. Not yardage.
See, that's a fantasy. That's why I said they're separate. They're separate.
It was this question.
This question was about whether they become quarterback and wide receiver numbers in the NFL.
No.
That's what the question was. If you listen to the question, that's exactly what he said.
Oh, well, I'm reading what the summary was, is should players get fantasy points for it?
Well, that is not what he said.
Let's play that voicemail again. Let's go back to
Sean from San Diego. I have a theoretical question, and I was wondering if you think that pass interference yards should count for receivers and quarterbacks? Love the show. Thanks.
So
I have to imagine the spirit is for fantasy.
We can have that discussion. I'm just saying it does matter on the record books and things like that. That's where you'd go away from like counting them as.
Yeah, I'm not adding it to
First
your
of all,
total.
It's not a completed pass. It's
correct.
not. It's not
right.
a completed pass.
That is correct.
So if we're going to keep track of completed passes, it's not a completed pass.
Correct.
It's for any sort of yardage. So you talk about fantasy. I've actually been on your camp of saying, look, if you're a receiver and you force a PI, I'm fine giving him a point.
Yeah.
I don't care about that. That's great. You did something to help your team. We're never going to know in this mythical world where there wasn't a PI whether you would have caught it, whether it was coming down as catchable, whether you stepped out of bounds on the attempt to catch it, even when you did catch it, whether you fumbled after you caught the ball. You do not know all
what
the
an
what-ifs.
embarrassing drop they could have just had.
So there's an infinite amount of alternate realities post attempted catch.
But what is 100% always true is you got them a first down.
Yes.
Every single time.
Yeah, you've helped your team.
Completely agree.
If you're playing in like the Scott Fish Bowl League has points per first down, but that's not awarded there, but that player got a first down. So I don't know. I think it would be fun. I hate when I see my wide receiver get, whether it's a bomb or even just, a 15-yard crosser on the field. It's like he gets held up. It's like, oh, that robbed me. We don't know if it would have came true, but he did help your team. He did get them a first down. I think you should get a point. Or if you're in a half PPR and you want to argue, it's basically giving them the equivalent of the fantasy points for a
So
reception.
does that go, you're saying give a point to the receiver or a point to the quarterback?
To the receiver.
So the quarterback gets nothing.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, technically the defender did it. The defender earned the yards. You know what I mean?
Should you give him a point if you
I'm just
have
saying,
negative?
like, technically it wasn't the receiver that did it.
I feel like something should happen because fantasy football is not real football. We play a very different game. Even though it's based on football, it's still different. So I think something should happen.
The more
something should happen for the wide receiver.
The more hyper fair you try to make fantasy because you think that's what you want, the less fun it's going to be.
Yeah,
I genuinely believe that. I think the tragedy and screaming and yelling and sadness and in unfairness creates all the fun storylines that we enjoy in fantasy. Now, that doesn't mean you can't make tweaks and adjustments and go half PPR like we like to do. But I'm fine with the point. I'm fine with the point to the receiver.
Which that is probably
Fantasy
why
point.
that's probably why the NFL still has all the old antiquated, like, we have chains and we don't have perfect camera angles. You're like, yeah, because the NFL knows that us and other big shows, like, we're just going to spend all that time drawing people's attention to the NFL. Can you just imagine this crazy thing that they did?
The refs, they love the Chiefs.
All publicity is good publicity.
Man. Phew, that's
after that first,
I was
fourth
worried.
down, I tweeted it out. I was like, no, not right off the bat. The fourth down, an important fourth down, and they call a terrible.
I was very worried.
Oh, yeah.
Because they don't want that to be the story.
No.
It's so annoying.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's I'm one of the people that believes that you should change the NFL rule for pass interference to the collegiate rule. I think
it's 15.
It's 15, and the reason being not because that, like, if you could perfectly apply pass interference 100% of the time, the call, I'm fine with the NFL rule, but you can't. Nobody knows what it is. You have the catch child, right? Dealing with catches.
Yeah.
He knows what it is.
The catch child has a friend that might know what a pass interference is, but we really don't always know what it is. Sometimes somebody grabs a little bit. Sometimes they don't. You turn your head. Oh, I can PI when I turn my head. I can't.
We've all watched games where the three of us disagree with each other on whether that was PI.
So to me, because of the fact it's so subjective of a call, you'd nerf that by taking away the potential 50-yard penalty and make it the college rule, make it a 15-yard penalty. And yes, you're going to have more intentional pass interference. Okay,
yeah,
that's your choice. You're giving them a first down. You're giving them this.
I think you harm offense overall, though. Because if I'm a DB and I'd be like, oh, this is a huge play, I'm going to play it way more aggressive.
You help fantasy because none of those yards count for either guy when you go 50 down the field. You give them 15, they got to go the rest of the field.
Don't take my yards away from me. No, I love it. I would 100% do that. I also think that the defensive holding should move to, instead of 5 yards and an automatic first, I don't know, 10 yards and then no automatic first. Because I hate when it's like,
which one is it? Defensive holding?
Defensive hold. I hate when it's 3rd and 28 and a 5-yard penalty gives them a first down. It feels like such a bailout.
That's tough. I agree with you most of the time, but what if that holding happens 40 yards down the field on a wide receiver that's wide open and they do it before the ball's released?
Yeah, it's just rare.
Okay.
Usually defensive holding is earlier.
Yeah, I think some people push back on the 15 yards saying they'll do a bunch of intentional pass interference.
I would.
It doesn't happen in college.
It would not happen.
No, this rule's been there forever.
No defenders are trying to draw a 15-yard penalty.
I mean,
ever.
No, I
it
just
does
mean
happen sometimes. It just doesn't happen a lot.
I mean, from the point of I'm going to be far more aggressive and less concerned about it because the consequence to me is not 50 yards because I got called on a ticky-tack foul.
There's also the other side of where there is a lot of wide receivers selling stuff on the pass interference because of the value down the field. It's an interesting debate. But let's start with first down lines that everybody knows whether the ball gets across them.
That'd be pretty cool.
Can we do that?
And maybe
can they? Of course. Will they? I don't know.
Maybe upgrade to and this one
is the chain gang union that strong?
Yeah. They've been around for a long time, 100 years.
We like the drama.
I'm not opposed to having people walk around and do nothing of value. Just carry chains around. That's fine.
I would also if I was part of the NFL Rules Committee, I would just demand that we get, I don't know, goal line cameras both directions.
Yes.
That's it?
Yes.
It's pretty simple. That
Impossible.
seems like you can afford it. I don't even care. Use a camera. You know, a camera phone.
Don't you know?
Use an iPhone. Just put it on a little tripod right down the line.
Yeah, why? Have you ever seen a young chain gang referee? You ever seen a young man out there?
No.
Like, is there anybody growing up, like, they're like 18, 19, like, this is what I want to do in life.
No.
It's the first down markers, and I'm in shape, and I can carry that chain with, like, it must be light. Because these guys are not.
Yeah, it's not a heavy thing. It's a small chain. Have you seen it?
Well, give them a big chain; they'd all be in shape. Huge,
They gotta
man.
like a Titanic anchor-sized chain.
It'd be so slow to move the
oh man,
first.
that'd be so funny. Like 12 guys.
What are we talking about?
We talk about what we want. The season's over.
We
We'll
want
talk
cameras.
baseball, Jay. Is that what you're saying?
We want cameras.
Yeah, just cameras.
What you don't know about those end zone cameras is that if two of them face each other, they destroy each other.
Oh.
That's why you can't have one on both ends.
Makes sense.
Jalen Waddle question? Is that what this is? No, it's not.
From Tyler here?
No, it's not. Tyler said, which
Jalen
I
Waddle
messed
answer.
that up. That
It's
was
a
my
Jalen Waddle-
answer.
Yeah, this is your answer.
You're playing Jeopardy over here.
I'm not used to having answers in.
Just read what you said.
Which under?
No. Don't say the name.
Tyler Tracy.
Mike.
No, I was saying Jalen Waddle. And then I would say, what is an underperforming player of 2024 that will be a steal in 2025 drafts?
Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, there we go.
That was my answer.
Who is Jalen Waddle?
Tyler asked which underperforming player would be a steal. I said Jalen Waddle because he finished at like wide receiver 46 and isn't that kind of a player. Like he got elite wide receiver money. He's an elite player. Banged up.
That's
Tua.
The hardest part for Jalen Waddle is like he gets hurt seemingly a lot, but he is a really good wide receiver. Like I think he's talented. I think he's a great player. It just has not.
I didn't want to answer this, by the way.
It didn't fully work out with Waddle or just
no
the
with
question
Waddle
overall?
because there's so much risk with him. There's so much fatigue and annoyance, and yet that was true of DJ Moore, and that's true of Terry McLaurin. Like talent does win eventually.
Yes,
more often than not.
And
this was a player who finished in the top 10 before with Tua by his side.
Yeah, 3 years before this season, he was a 1,000-yard receiver each year. This was a really down season for him, and I would expect a bounce back. Certainly not all the way down at wide receiver 46, but there is no way to answer this question without risk because
otherwise they'd be a high pick.
We're talking about a player coming off of a bad season. So there is a problem, whether it's age, whether it's injury, whether it's whatever. My answer to this is Chris Olave. Chris Olave carries enormous risk. It feels kind of like Tua, like you're one hit away from your season is over. Hopefully they get that figured out and he doesn't deal with concussion issues going forward into the next season. It will be a risky pick, but because of that, I don't think he'll cost you a lot when he's out there playing, especially when he's playing with a quarterback that's, healthy and active. Derek Carr should be good to go. I think that Chris Olave is a really, really talented wide receiver who can put up wide receiver one type of numbers, but he carries a lot of risk. So he's a bounce back candidate for me.
The best ball drafters are agreeing because the early best ball ADP, Jalen Waddle's at wide receiver 30 and Olave is at wide receiver 31. So both of those guys feel like that is really undervalued.
It's a rough year for both guys.
It was, but they're both good.
Yeah, you're betting on talent.
And young.
Yes. And my guy is not young, but he is talented, and I'm going to be willing to forgive him. It's Christian McCaffrey.
So steal.
Drafted as the RB1 last year. It did not work. But here's what's going on in best ball right now. Saquon, Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs are the top three. I have no issue. Like that is perfectly fine.
You would do the same thing?
I don't know that I would, but I don't have it's not weird or
I would take those
you
three
take
as
those
the
three
top
over McCaffrey.
three, yeah.
But then after that, it's Devon Achane, Derrick Henry, and Ashton Genty. And it's like I'm not saying for sure when the UDK fully releases on June 1st and we're in full projections and everything, maybe McCaffrey is here. Like I like those other guys more, but that's some big question marks, especially Achane.
Achane's a real surprise.
The way
there.
that he played this year, I mean, if you don't PPR your way in to extreme value, and
Which
it's just
you got to do.
Like Christian McCaffrey, you're saying Debo is off the team? Like not that Debo's taken everything, but Debo's stole some work
back. I mean, look, it's risk aversion. It's age and risk aversion. And the team
Burns.
struggled. The team struggled. I mean, is this era of 49ers football going to be rejuvenated?
And he's old?
Or is it going to be the end?
But he's still under contract. They just, kind of moved some money around for him last offseason before the whole Achilles tendonitis thing.
I will bet, though, that the real ADP, the true ADP, I'm going to bet you now that McCaffrey is either 4 or 5. I think the true ADP in redraft is going to be different than best ball. I think you'll see Barkley, Bijan, and Gibbs, and then you will see a 50-50 Henry or McCaffrey in most leagues. I do not believe Genty or HM will be anywhere close to that.
But when you are often, and it's these are based off of preseason projections and assumptions. When you are drafting, it'll be here's the big three running backs because you feel like in your projections and just looking at football, any of those three guys could easily be the running back one. It's not common that you're drafting a guy at the RB5 spot where you go, yeah, this guy could be the number one overall running back. Of course, things never fully work out to plan, and some guys end up at number one and they were not drafted that way. I'm just saying that feeling you get after the draft, you drafting the RB5 or 6, I'm never like, I did it. I got the guy who's going to sneak into the number one position.
It's not just other running backs that you have to compare him to. When we're in the draft next year, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, all those guys will go over him. You're going to be dealing with, do you want Nico Collins and Amon-Ra and Puka and Malik Neighbors, those type of players where I think when people are like the risk of the age, because when we saw Christian McCaffrey on the field this last year, he was good for fantasy, but he was not Christian McCaffrey
he didn't look
dominant.
Healthy.
He wasn't scoring touchdowns 1 or 2 a game. He wasn't right. And so I think there will be some risk-averse people pushing him down. But as a reminder, his career is he finished as the running back 3, the running back 1, injured year, 53, injured year, 39. Comes back, the running back 2, the running back 1, injured year, 70. That was this year. Is he healthy or not? That's the question. I
don't like how many times you said injured year.
Yeah, I get that.
But I promise you in 2022, if you took that shot, you were very happy that you had Christian McCaffrey score.
How old is he now?
28. He'll be 29 this season. He's 28.7.
That'll be a fun one to watch. Yeah, I don't think he'll go. I think he'll go ahead of Achane because
in redraft.
Because you can have news. I mean, right now he's not on the field, right? Like, his papa.
His
papa is saying
got a
he's
note
healthy
from Dad.
Dad says he's healthy.
My boy is ready to play.
I mean, come on.
Please excuse his absence from 2024.
We can't.
Genty could easily be ahead of CMC solely depending on the landing spot.
He could. We'll take a break. We'll do some more questions. All right, Baylor writes in on X, will Puka be good when Stafford finally retires, or would you look to trade him in Dynasty before then? I think this is can I frame this for you?
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's frame this in a Michael Thomas.
Oh, I thought you were going to say like Michaels.
Let's frame it
They do.
Michaels does frames?
They do frames.
I see.
Yeah.
It's a craft story, see?
Michael Thomas.
I was very displeased with their framing job for me.
You had them do
Michaels
it?
let you down?
You're putting them on blast for a framing job?
That's-
What kind of framing job?
That's my namesake craft
Hold on.
store.
You had a high-stakes framing job?
Yeah, I had a high stakes framing job, and they let me down because they were
How
trying
do
to
you
do it right.
butcher a
Yeah,
frame?
What's in high stakes framing?
Did it come out all like triangle?
No,
What was in
it's
it?
worse. It's a signed movie poster.
Oh,
there's
okay.
a couple. I got signed movie posters, and so because they were signed, they're like, well, we can't. I don't know what they use, like a glue or something that like flattens it out. Like in the normal application, if you just bring them something to frame, picture of you and your family. They do this thing to make sure that it's real smooth. I didn't think it would matter because it's pushed up against glass, right? Isn't it going to be smooth? They're like, we can't do that. It's like, okay, that makes sense. That's fine. So they framed
they're
it.
the experts of framing.
Yeah, they're the experts. Not really. Because I got that thing home, and in the light, I mean, it's like it's an ocean of waves. All that you can't see anything but waves. You can't even see the posters. Al, you've seen these, right? How terrible are they?
It's so bad.
It's
Oh,
awful.
no!
And I'm like,
there's a lot of airspace between the poster
yes,
and the,
I don't understand
They
how
didn't
it works.
squeegee it?
They didn't
it's
squeegee
not a real
jack
tight
crap.
fit.
No, bad
So,
job, Michael.
Say goodbye to our arts and crafts sponsorships.
Yeah.
Or we've just brought a problem to their attention, and they will fix it.
And then if
they
they
will rise
do,
back to the top.
I'm
This
happy
is
to
all because
promote
I
you.
said I was going to frame my argument.
But
Cool.
here's where, if you're not going to go to Michael's to get a frame, where are you
I
possibly
don't know, there's
going?
Hobby Lobby frame. There are framing places. There are stores.
Oh,
that
it's
just
Michael's or bust.
really. Well, then it's bust.
That's why they can charge so much, because they know no one else does
You
frames.
frame it yourself, man.
Yeah, just go to.
Frame it yourself.
Yeah, you buy a frame. This is not rocket
You
science.
never do it with your posters where you just slide the.
You couldn't put a
slide the
poster in a
borders on?
frame.
I guess I have a lot to learn about framing.
Look, what I was going to say, which I'll use different words for,
Puka Nacua.
is look, Michael Thomas had special years with Drew Brees. Very special,
Yeah.
unique.
Yeah.
We saw this with Cooper Kupp as well. Very special years with Matthew Stafford. Saw it with Robert Woods. You've seen it with a lot of guys. Calvin would have done it anywhere. But Puka, maybe he gets another year with Stafford. Stafford's time is running out either in Los Angeles, which some have alluded to could happen, or in the NFL. He's going to retire at some point. So the question is, will Puka be as good, or would you look at this period of time at 23 years old, entering year 3, to try to trade him?
I have my answer.
And now I have presented the question, so this is the time for it.
I would not be trying to trade him. I learned a lesson with Justin Jefferson, and part of this question is, what do you really believe about Puka? Is it Puka? Is it Stafford? Right. It's the combination. Kirk Cousins helped make Justin Jefferson better than he was this year, but Justin Jefferson was still really good this year because Justin Jefferson is really good. Puka Nacua has been better than you think, both statistically, but as a player. As an actual, you just watch the film, what he can do, how guys can't tackle him, how he gets open, how he's used in every possible way. Down the field, bomb touchdowns, screen game, handoffs. And, I would be a little bit more concerned if I knew that if Stafford retires or moves on, that if Sean McVay also attached that same year to leave, that would be an even bigger hit.
Would you like to know what his overall PFF grade was in 2024?
Not really, but I'm sure.
You don't want to know.
I don't trust those grades a lot, but what was it?
I mean, even if it helps your
I
argument.
think it's going to be good.
Well, I imagine it should be. He's awesome, but it could go
really
either
took
way.
the air out of that.
I want to know.
Number 1.
Oh, he was so
1 out of 98 that factored in.
His rookie season, Puka Nacua was the wide receiver 4. He was obviously wonderful, broke every rookie record there was, and for fantasy football purposes was like, he was the wide receiver 4. This last season, he went from a rookie year of 14.5 fantasy points per game to 15.2. He was better this season than he was his rookie year. You just didn't feel it because he missed, the 5 games, basically the first 7 weeks of the season he was gone.
Well, you are going to have to consider his injury history in your dynasty evaluation of Puka Nacua, because that's something he dealt with in high school and college, and now we finally saw it in the NFL last year. He was dealing with injury, missed games due to injury, played injured.
He played all 17 as a rookie.
Correct. That's why I said last year, because it's something where Jason was so frustrated with that experience that he traded him. Jason traded a player he believed in entirely due to injury.
I think it was more just, and then Jason being sad.
Well, it was
that
also
he didn't have his guy.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough. I mean, when you go the first 2 months of the season without your player and you've lost games along the way, you have to make moves based on more than just your hopes and
I think the
feelings.
To after the rookie year, still have some doubts of like, was this just a real fluke? This 5th round pick, just he was in the right spot at the right time for everything. Going into year 2, I think it was fair to have some questions about it. But now, after what he did on the field this year, just remove his draft capital. Puka is one of the better wide receivers in the NFL, and I'm not trying to get out of guys who are that good just because I think their situation might be rough in a little bit.
He's 23 years old.
Situations change. This is Sean McVay. Now, if you say, hey, Stafford and McVay are both going to be gone from the Rams, I'm a lot more concerned now. But if it's still McVay, I think that he figures out how to get himself a quarterback.
These are always tough, right? I mean, there's a lot of players that we've had belief in their fundamental talent that sometimes it's worked out when a quarterback change has happened. Other times it hasn't, right? I mean, we're sitting here with names like Waddle and Olave, who we believe in their fundamental ability, but they keep running up against sometimes it's injuries, sometimes it's quarterback play, injuries for the quarterback position. We saw Malik Neighbors begging for a quarterback play.
I mean, the thing is, all of those things, those are random variables that just go out of control.
But that's where the decision of the trade would be, though. It's like, do you try to trade Puka Nacua for an established situation?
There just aren't that many. I think
Marvin Harrison. Do you trade him for
Puka.
Marvin Harrison?
I would definitely rather have Puka. There really aren't that many established situations that are long term, like CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase. Those are great. We don't know with McCarthy whether Justin Jefferson is truly established. Maybe he really is. Maybe it's a downturn.
It would be like, would you rather this is just positionally, Puka or Nico? Because like the long term of Nico,
yeah, I'd rather have Nico.
Better, but I think that Puka might be the better player.
I'm on the Puka side, but that's the perfect. Every time I've looked at rankings, my own and others around the industry, those two are next to each other. And I've got Puka ahead of Nico. I don't have any problem. If you want to CJ Stroud, put him above.
What about Drake London? Take the gamble on.
I'm still Puka.
Penix. Okay.
Last question for today. Hoping I don't get another I don't care answer. Number one question from Blake on Instagram. As we wrap it up, do you prefer cupcakes or muffins?
Don't care.
Cupcakes
No,
or muffins?
I was going to say that in a minute.
I've never really.
Cupcakes are cakes in a muffin container, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a little cup.
Did you just ask what a cupcake was?
Well, I was just describing it for myself for the sake of the question.
But I mean, if you're like, okay, what's
You said right at the end.
so a muffin is more. You did the
that wasn't a.
You did the achoo. Bless you. Thank you. Thank me or whatever.
I mean, a cupcake has frosting on top. A muffin will never have frosting.
But it's also the cupcake is spongier. A muffin's more dense, right?
And and contents. You don't see a cupcake that's filled with blueberries.
No, but you see like confetti cake cupcakes. They're filled
There's
with.
not chewing. You don't chew objects. Well, I guess you have chocolate chip Cupcakes?
No,
muffins.
You can have like the cake that has the chocolate chips.
If you
in
were
it.
going to a birthday party and they said something else, see, no one ever says muffins out at a birthday party.
No, that would be ridiculous.
But
honestly, I kind of wish they would.
Which one? So which one do you prefer? If run of the mill, it's a Tuesday. There's no party going on. There's a cupcake there. What's your favorite cupcake?
The bottom part of the cupcake sucks.
You know how to fix that, right?
Yeah, you just eat the top.
No.
I know. You take the bottom off and you put it on the top and make a sandwich.
Bingo.
Yeah. That's a weird thing to be making fun of.
Yeah, it's a pro move. You don't get messy.
You want to know why I mocked
this real simple solution.
I mocked it because everybody who comes up with that thinks they're the one that originated it. And every party I'm ever at, they're like, watch what I can do. Look how cool this is.
Can you do that with a muffin? Or
you don't need to because the muffin's good
frosting.
through and through.
So then a muffin's better.
A muffin is better. And you know what? If you want a frosting a muffin, you can do it. I give you permission. Because if that's the only thing that makes a cupcake better is like, ooh, I like that there's some frosting.
I'm starting to think here, like a lot of muffins have the sugar on the top of the muffin, and that's not throughout. So like maybe we just need the tops of the cupcakes and the tops of the muffins and get rid of the rest.
I like the whole thing. And muffins.
Can I feed you my muffin bottoms?
No. No, you can't. Oh my gosh, no. Push that outro button. Good.
You keep your muffin bottoms away from me.
I don't want to eat your muffin bottom.
We'll see you later, everybody. UltimateDraftKit.com. We say cool stuff in there. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.